Welcome to the deep dive. You know, if 2025 felt like trying to navigate a really choppy sea
Oh, absolutely. Volatile is the word.
with all those rate drops and regional market swings, then 2026 is shaping up to be the year the UK property market finally finds its sea legs.
It's certainly looking a bit steadier.
So, our mission today is to cut through the forecasts and really give you a clear roadmap for this shift.
Exactly. We've pulled together the key insights, and we're focusing on four critical areas.
Hmm.
Interest rates, the new price forecasts, that big north-south divide, and some really crucial policy changes for owners and renters.
Okay, so let's start with the good news, I suppose, the affordability picture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2025 was pivotal. The Bank of England dropped rates, what, four times?
Four separate times, yeah.
Yeah.
All the way from 4.75% down to 3.75%. And that slow easing is, expected to continue into 2026.
Which should make mortgages cheaper. But the fascinating thing is the actual price growth forecasts are being lowered.
Right, that's the real tension here. Affordability gets better, but the analysts are, they're dialing back their expectations.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about?
Well, Savills is now predicting a pretty modest 2% growth for 2026. Knight Frank is a bit higher at 3%. It's a real moment of moderation.
And what's driving that? Is it just more supply coming onto the market?
That's a huge part of it, a surge in new property listings, yeah. So supply is up, and at the same time, buyer confidence is just a little weaker, linked to those wider economic concerns. The market's sort of taken a breath.
I see. So the lower interest rates aren't causing a price explosion because you've got more supply and economic nerves acting as a sort of brake.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So if confidence is a bit weaker, where are buyers prioritizing their money?
They're prioritizing value. And that really is the regional story of the year. The strongest growth in 2025 was consistently in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and the Northwest.
A definite push for affordability outside of the Southeast.
Without a doubt.
And that puts London in such sharp contrast, doesn't it? While the North was surging, the capital was actually reporting price falls overall.
It's a huge contrast. Knight Frank has eased its forecasts for Greater and Prime Outer London down to just 2%.
Just 2%. And what about Prime Central London, the super high-end core?
That's expected to just hold steady. Resilient, but flat.
Okay, let's pivot from the market trends to the legal framework, because there are some major policy changes hitting in 2026 that everyone needs to know about.
Yes, huge changes.
Let's start with renters. The Renters' Rights Act, that's fully active now, right?
It is. So if you're a renter, this means your deposit is now capped at 1 month's rent.
And landlords can only increase your rent once a year.
Correct. But the most critical part is the ban on evictions without a valid reason. That so-called no-fault Section 21 notice is gone.
Wow, that's a fundamental shift in the power dynamic between landlord and tenant.
A huge shift.
And what about for property owners, specifically leaseholders?
For owners, the common hold and leasehold reform changes are also massive. I mean, historically, extending a lease or buying your freehold was often incredibly expensive and just legally complex.
A total nightmare for many.
Pretty much. These reforms are designed to make that whole process cheaper and much simpler.
And then there's this mansion tax preparation.
Right, the High Value Council tax surcharge. Now, the surcharge itself doesn't actually start until 2028.
Okay, so not yet.
But, and this is the important bit, the formal property evaluations for it begin this year in 2026. So if you own a high-value property, this is the year you need to start getting your documentation ready.
So with all these new regulations, especially the Renters' Rights Act, you'd think investors might be retreating. Is that what we're seeing?
You would think so, but no, not at all. A survey from Landlord showed that 66% of landlords are still planning growth activity.
66%. Really?
And 58% are committed to a buy-to-hold strategy. They're clearly seeing long-term value.
So what's underpinning that confidence?
Sheer demand. Demand for rentals remains extremely high. Zoopla, for instance, still expects rents to rise by about 2.5% in 2026. The underlying need is just that strong.
So that long-term view seems to be the overarching advice from all the sources. The market is settling, growth is moderate, and it's being heavily shaped by government reform.
Precisely. And that leads to a really interesting final thought for you to chew on.
Go on.
Well, you have these two powerful forces running in parallel. First, the Renters' Rights Act, which is fundamentally reshaping tenancy agreements. And second, you've got this continuous migration of price growth away from London towards more affordable regions.
Right.
So the question to consider is, how might these policy and regional trends permanently shift the very definition of a prime property investment opportunity in the UK? We'll leave you with that. Is the next prime going to be less about a postcode and maybe more about regulatory compliance?